What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video in the Road to 1 Million series where I document our journey from $0 to $1 million in real estate wholesaling and with our software. So Ali's channel recently blew up, and so it inspired me to start posting this shit again. But what I want to talk about today is being paralyzed by procrastination. And now, this is not a flaw. This is a feature. Now, that sounds a little bit corny, but let me explain. The reason that you continue to procrastinate, and this is going to be 90% me and myself, but I'm going to assume that, like most things in life, it's true across most people, and the domains are a similar experience for all. So if you aren't taking action something, which I did yesterday. So we have this project that's due in 3 days. Oh, I deleted my counter thing. In like 3 or 4 days. And I basically did fuck all yesterday. I like rewrote the proposal like 4 times because I was like, oh, am I doing this? What are we doing? What are we doing? What are we doing? Because there wasn't clarity. But sometimes you don't need clarity. This is especially true in entrepreneurship because anything leading up to your entrepreneurial journey in life, whether that's school, a job, or both, there's going to be a clear objective given to you by somebody else. So it's whether you're in first grade and your teacher tells you, all right, you add this and you add this number. If you get the correct number, then you get like a little elephant sticker. You're like, oh, there's like a feedback loop. Or you have a job. You do this task, you repeat it, and you don't screw up or you don't like yell at the customer, then you get money at the end of the pay period. And so there's this feedback loop, and you know what to expect. You know the inputs, you know the outputs, and you can kind of gauge how it's going to feel. And so maybe sometimes a little bit easier, sometimes it's a little bit harder, but you understand the gist of it and you can conceptualize it. But what's difficult about starting your own company or even undertaking a project such as one that we're doing right now, which is part of starting our company, but it's also for competition, is that there is no fixed outcome. And you have to act like there is, though, because if you try to, what I was doing yesterday, and the reason I was paralyzed by inaction, or I was paralyzed by inaction. No, I was paralyzed by the overwhelm of information, which led to inaction. Paralyzed and inaction are the same thing. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. I wasn't doing anything because I was overwhelmed with the amount of things that had to be done and with the fact that I didn't know if they were the right things to do. And so I called Ali and we talked about it a little bit today, and then we talked about it again, and then I started doing, and things became more clear as I acted upon them. So fear, Hormozy says this. He says, fear is a mile wide and an inch deep, or the project or whatever that you may be scared of. So whether it's fear itself or the thing that you fear is a mile wide and an inch deep. And sometimes it's a mile wide and a mile deep, but that's very rare. It's usually an inch deep. And that is the case with us. I was thinking, oh, okay, we have to know exactly how this is going to look in 24 months, how we're going to get all these users, how I'm going to onboard the contractors, how I'm going to do this, how I'm going to do that. That's not the case. And I'm not supposed to know that, because if we plan something out right now, if we plan our business out start to finish right now, that's not a business. That's just like a project that you're doing for fun, because a business by nature and by definition is solving problems, and problems evolve over time because the world is not stagnant. The world is dynamic. And so when you solve one thing, then it takes the user on a different path. And so you have to be open to that. And by extension, you can't try to plan everything out at the beginning. And maybe you have this big idea. Like Ali and I talk about this all the time. We're like, oh, okay, we're gonna want this, want this in the future. These are all great ideas. We may implement all of them, and we are some sort of fucking oracle of real estate software, or we implement none of them, and we don't know fuck all, which is more likely than not the case. Or probably somewhere a little bit in between, but closer to the not side, if I had to guess. Either way, the problem isn't solved by inaction and by thinking. You know that fucking, what was it, like that shitty ass sound that's going around on like Reels and TikTok like years ago. Actually, probably wasn't that long ago. It feels like years ago. It was like, it was like used in like a sarcastic way. They're like, oh, man that thinks all the time has nothing to think about but thought itself. That's true as fuck in business. If you're just thinking about what you're going to do and how it's going to work, but instead of taking action and iterating based off of that action, you're never going to be successful. Now, this lesson also applies in life, but it's extremely important to understand this at all stages of business, because you're never going to be able to plan out the future, and you're not supposed to know the future. You're supposed to take action and be self-aware enough to look at the action, look at the response from your users, which we are yet to do, which is a frustrating part because there's nothing to give them yet. So in the next, really the next 10 days, this is gonna be in the hands of users, and we'll have a more positive feedback loop. And this is also difficult in a business that's a little bit more creative, and it's more of like a startup-esque venture as opposed to a tried and proven model. Like before, when we were doing the wholesaling, we knew that wholesaling worked because A, we had done it off like right away. We got our first deal within like 30 days. And B, we had mentors, coaches, YouTube gurus, everyone telling us what to do. So there was a fixed input, a fixed outcome, but we didn't really understand the path, which is different, which is why there's a higher payout than if you have like a salary job. However, with a venture like what we're doing now with the software is completely abstract and nobody's done it before at all. But people have done tech, people have done real estate tech, but they haven't done this exactly. And so there's even less of a guarantee, but that doesn't mean that we can't act like it. And so you just have to consistently move in the same direction and move towards your goal without the assurance and the confidence, or not the confidence, without the assurance and the acute understanding that it's going to work, because it may not work, but it doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that you have to behave like it's going to. And that is the only way that it may work. So that's just some food for thought for y'all. No new revenue. Oh, we got the offer submitted for the property in Stoughton. So could be seeing a stimmy coming in here in the next 30 days or so, depending on what the bank says. The bank says no. We got our affidavit of interest filed. So whenever they sell it at any point, we will be getting some amount of money, I think, unless it gets foreclosed. And I think that nobody gets paid, which fucking sucks. I'm not sure how that works. But that's it for today, guys. I'll see you all in the next one.